welcome to another session of LG Integrator Insights. I'm Vicky Sanville, the National Sales Manager for the public sector. I'm really excited because today we have Joe Gabriel. He's the CEO of Southern Computer Warehouse, a tremendous amount of experience in the industry. So looking forward to learning a little bit more about SCW and some of his industry insights. Welcome, Joe. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I would like to just, to introduce you to the audience. Can you give us a little bit of background of yourself in the industry?
Sure. I started back in 89, 90 with Egghead Software. I came out of college and started with them as an inside sales rep. And then I moved out to Houston with them as an outside sales rep. And my territory was everything from Louisiana down to the border with Mexico, not including any of the downtown area. So I got a really good experience of working with cities and counties and school districts and all of that. And then I did that for about 4 or 5 years and then moved back to Atlanta and started the company here in Marietta.
Oh, wonderful. And can you give us a little bit of background about Southern Computer Warehouse? Yeah, the business, your customers, maybe some of the services that you offer?
Sure. So what we are is we started out, like I said, back in 89, 90, and the idea was really to focus on outside the perimeter accounts. Our focus is really state, local education, healthcare, what some people call SLED, some call GEM. So that was really our focus. And that's really where we're growing. So we did that starting in Georgia, and then we built out North Carolina and Florida. And then we got into Texas, and now we're all the way out to California. And we do business in probably about 46, 47 states every month, and have built really great relationships across the country.
Well, that's an amazing record of growth. It's always nice to see the results happen. You learn something, best practices that are applied to the next market, right?
That's right. That's right.
So what are some of your key initiatives as we look at like the public sector in general? I mean, there's been so many dynamic changes in the past few years. What are some of the key initiatives SCW has to be able to bring to its public sector customers in the next few years?
So what we've recently done is we've just initiated a partnership with NASCAR. And what we're doing there is working with them on best practices and really using them to show all the great solutions, the ingenuity and the creativity that our customers have shown over the last 20, 25 years. I think that people don't really appreciate or understand how much sophistication and technology is out there in rural America and what inside the industry we call second tier and third tier cities. And our focus has always been that. So we realized very early on that trying to get into downtown Atlanta and City of Schools in Atlanta, everybody's going into there. And if you go outside the perimeter and out to find a building instead of a door, if you will, to go have your appointment in, you get a great response. And the ability and the effect they've had on their communities and the standard of living and the quality of education and the services they provide has just been astounding in the last 20, 25 years. So we're using this partnership with NASCAR as really a way of highlighting all the great things that have been going on out in rural America and out in, exurbs, suburbs, however you want to call it. I get kind of lost in all that. And we think it's just going to be a great platform to show the solutions, the ingenuity, and how they've approached their unique problem sets. The problems with distance and community and connecting all of that compared to more of an urban area where you've got buildings and you can connect and communicate that way. Is just, so that's really our initiative, is to really try to find a way in using the NASCAR platform to highlight that.
It's funny, you stole my next question because I was going to ask you about your NASCAR partnership and how you're going to leverage that to reach these outside the perimeter communities. So it's really exciting. I was having a conversation with a K through 12 customer in another part of the country earlier this week, and they were saying, it's one thing to focus on those major kind of urban areas, but there are so many unique challenges that face kind of the outside that urban area that create just as much interesting dynamics to test and innovate on IT and AV applications that bring efficiencies and equity and interoperability into a space, but then also make sure it's secure. So are you seeing any of those themes in terms of, as you're bringing the technology and the solutions with the NASCAR partnership into those communities, that it really is addressing those equity needs or interoperability needs?
Oh, absolutely. It's obviously, we all see in schools how much more children are able to access and do that. I always go back, I know shows my age probably much too well, but I always go back to when the Sony digital cameras came out. The effect it had in our customer base, where you could take a picture of a problem and send it and not be able to have all that time and energy. And it's just grown from that. And a lot of those solutions is how they manage their resources, how they move their resources, and develop that way. So we're working with them, and we're trying to find out exactly what to do, but it's obviously a long-term challenge.
Well, I mean, as you guys push these types of initiatives forward for communities, what do you seek in terms of the OEMs you work for to make sure that you can leverage, our branding and our technology into these spaces and into these solutions?
Oh, that's a big question.
I know.
It's bigger than my brain. We work on a basis here of what we call the circle and the square. And the idea is that we're in the center, and then the square around us is customers, vendors, manufacturers, and local reps. And the more we synergize and become the best option for each side of that, the bigger and taller and stronger we can grow. And that's really been what's made us successful, is really trying to create that 5-way win for the channel all day, every day. Mm-hmm. So the idea with this partnership, and where I look to bring manufacturers in, is that we just have now a platform to introduce your name, your brand, your capabilities into a space that maybe you haven't thought about enough, or maybe hasn't been as open to talking with you. So obviously we have 35 racetracks around the country. We go with the sport, and we'll have events at those racetracks and trying to bring customers together, try to bring manufacturers together, and all that. And we're finding great success. We've had the first half of the year, and I think the first half has really been about getting our manufacturer partners and our distributor partners to understand the value and the impact of NASCAR Nation. Mm-hmm. It's really something, I've been a fan of it for a long time. So I've been very frustrated. What brought me to it is my frustration, because I'd watch the races, and I know about F1 in Europe. And I saw that our biggest competitor up in Chicago's on a car, and HP's on a car, and all these brands I sell are on the cars. And then I watch my NASCAR, and there's no brands from California, Silicon Valley on the car. And I think that people just don't realize the value of all that business out in the countryside. Mm-hmm. And I think they think too much of it just on a retail level, and don't really realize that at a city, county, school district, university, technical college, state agency level, there is billions, trillions of dollars being spent and decisions being made by folks that live out in these communities out in the rural part of the country.
Right. And they're like craving the information, right? And they're creating, I think we find a lot, can you give us referrals on, what has been done in underutilized spaces, or I've got this money, but I've got 4 problems to solve with just this little bucket of money. When your customers are looking at the audiovisual and IT hardware piece of it, what are some of the benefits or requirements that they're seeking?
Speed.
Yeah.
And I won't say availability.
No. So we make sure it's available for you.
Right. But it's really speed. I'm not sophisticated in the technology enough to tell you exactly. I'm 30,000 feet up from that kind of stuff. But it is absolutely speed. And the ones who have the best graphics, the ones that are delivering that image the crispest, are going to win.
And then I think there's some other things, but this is kind of my last question I was thinking about is, in terms of this partnership, but then its applications into your end customer user base, it's, what are the future things you're seeing in terms of, IT and AV design, procurement, the deployment path of that, the service that, the after service care of that, that OEMs like LG have to be ready to make sure we're supporting you and the end customer on in the future.
I think everybody is getting a lot more impatient.
Yeah.
So the quality of service and the response time is a lot more valuable to folks, or as valuable, I should say, as the initial product that they get delivered. And so what we're finding is whether they need it hung and installed and they want, the challenge is making sure it's seamless. And the more we can work to whatever the issue is, that it gets there, gets up, gets on, and stays on in this most seamless way is really the first thing I find customers wanting, because they value the time. Trying to bring people together to fix problems that are hardware based, which means you have to physically be there and can't be on a video screen solving the problem, are harder to coordinate. So everything that enables that process of getting up, delivered, and displayed as seamless as possible, whether we're working with you, we're working with the customer, a third-party integrator, if you will, on the product. That's the number one thing I hear out of customers, is that hassle factor. I think I think all of us have an intimidation about hanging a screen in our house on a wall. Just in general, it just kind of, you start. And so you can imagine a lot of these folks, when they're having to do that across all these platforms, and think the permanency of it, really on the front end, making sure what they're doing is what they really want to have. And then making sure you get it in and up and running for them in a very seamless, clean way, because everybody's time frames are a lot tighter now. And it's not just tight, they're harder to coordinate.
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts. Well, what I'm excited about is I'm happy we talked about your NASCAR initiative. And I think anybody who's watching here, I please encourage you to reach out to us. We'll make sure we connect you with Southern Computer Warehouse to learn a little bit more about the initiative, especially as we go deeper dive into the communities. So Joe, any last words, Joe, that you want to make comment on?
I just want you guys to know LG's been a great partner. We really appreciate it. We recently celebrated our $1 billion thanks party for hitting $1 billion in lifetime sales. And LG has been really an important part of that. And we appreciate all your support and the support of all the people behind the scenes.
Yeah, we really appreciate those kind words, and we appreciate the partnership as well. Well, until next time, guys, thanks so much, and have a great day. Bye.